Hey guys, I'm back from just laziness. Uh, this is my review for Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're watching Chosen One's channel. And if you're finding me for the first time, or if you have seen my videos before, I'm going to change my reviews up from now on. Um, I'm going to start with the first half of my opinions and how everything went and my rating of it, and then I will tell you for the next part that it will be spoiler filled, mainly because I don't want to make two separate videos of certain movies. Um, so Guardians of the Galaxy came out last week or so, and I got the chance to see it in IMAX 3D, and it was really good. Uh, The premise of the movie is about a kid growing up in the late 80s named Peter Quill, who gets abducted by basically aliens, but having trouble remembering. But what motivates him to get abducted, basically, what made him get abducted was because he ran away from, it's not necessarily a spoiler, I'll just say that it motivates the whole plot, and I already basically knew it before the movie was released. His mother is diagnosed with a certain cancer, I believe, maybe leukemia, something like that. I don't think they talk about it though. But he is in the hospital listening to his Walkman. I think that's what they called it back in the old days, which is basically a portable headphone MP3 player for the 80s. And he goes in there, and his grandpa tells him that his mother wants to see him, and so she gives him a present. He takes it, but then she says, "Take my hand," um, which that will I'll talk about what that whole "take my hand" thing goes into at the very end of this um, episode, because it requires it. There's spoilers. It's spoiler filled basically, and so he runs off. He doesn't take his mother's hand, and he gets captured by what they're called the Ravagers, basically intergalactic space pirates, basically. And then from there on, um, it goes to present day in the planet Morag, or something like that, and you see the kid who is now grown up go into this place to find this certain artifact that he's going to sell. He is basically one of the Ravagers. He is an outlaw. Um, and then from after when he gets the certain artifact, no spoilers of what it is, but he gets captured shortly. It's kind of actually a coincidence, like basically the whole Amazing Spider-Man 2 plot, everything about the plot happened through coincidences, which was really stupid. Um, then he gets the God dang it, the black dude. That's what I'm just gonna have to call him. He's forgettable in that movie. That he's one of the reasons why I didn't like the movie. But then he flees from the black dude. I think his name is Karath or whatever. I have no idea. Um, and he breaks out of the place where he was captured in because the black dude shot a hole through the wall, and he escapes into a ship called the Milano. And then from there on forth, that is when things get really good. You see Rocket, Groot, Uh, actually, um, right before that is you meet Gamora, Nebula, and the main bad guy, Ronan, and you realize he's basically just like a rebel from his own civilization, but yet the Kree, which he is part of, that's the race that he's part of, which you will find in the movie at some points. They're blue aliens. His people won't really negotiate with the Xandarians, they are basically the Earth of this movie, but there are still aliens on the planet, so they're not all technically humans, except for like three. There was Glenn Close's character, who was, I believe, human. Uh, Day, his name's Day or something like that, played by John C. Reilly, who is also, I believe, human. And then there's another guy, his name's like Sale or something like that. He's human, I believe. But the only thing that I wonder about that really is how are there technically humans, like Homo sapiens, just like all human, no different race inside their blood or anything, just full out humans. How are they somehow in that movie when all you basically see in that movie are just aliens? Except, well, there's another guy. It's James Gunn, the director. His brother is in it, and I believe he's exactly the same as the other two. I believe that were human characters. They're Xandarians, but they're not. I don't even know. There were some flaws about this movie. I already said one. It was about the black antagonist, who was alien, I guess. He wasn't really a needed character. It was really just Nebula and Ronan who were more important. Another character that did not deserve, this is not a spoiler, this has nothing to do with storyline, but if you're not a fan of after credits, if you can just easily pass out on it, you can just leave the theater, even if there is an after credits scene. If you don't really care about them, don't stay for Guardians of the Galaxy all the way through. Mainly because the Howard the Duck is just randomly in it. He was one of the collector's trophies, basically. And I won't really... There is kind of a spoiler in there, but I'll try to avoid it. What basically it is the collector's having an alien drink, and so is Howard the Duck. And then Cosmo the dog, Cosmo the Russian telepathic space dog, who I wish had more screen time, are just chilling out. I'll say that. They're kind of relaxing. I don't want to spoil it. When I go further back, I'll spoil more about that. But my favorite character out of that whole movie most likely had to be all of them, in some way, shape, or form. I loved Yondu. He was by far, if I had to have a top 3, he would be in there. Yondu is played by Michael Rooker, who was in Walking Dead for a while. No spoilers there. Star-Lord was pretty good since he was played by Chris Pratt, who used to be a supporting actor who couldn't really stand in the way to be a lead actor. But after Lego Movie, he's been really good. He's got Jurassic World next. That might be his fallback, mainly because 2 and 3 weren't really all that good, except for the second one, which only had Jeff Goldblum. That was the only reason why I liked it. But the fourth one, which is going to be Jurassic World, has been just like unknown. There were rumors about it, some news about the executive producer of the trilogy, Steven Spielberg, who was just saying like it's not currently in the works, but now it is, and there has been some leaked photos that I have seen of that movie. But this is Guardians of the Galaxy review and not news about Jurassic World. But lots of people like Drax. First of all, the actor of him is a wrestler. Most wrestling people can't act except for The Rock. I have to say Dave Bautista, who played Drax, did a really good job, but he just wasn't really in my top 3, mainly because you kind of pick your own characters. Drax did have good acting lines. That's what made Drax good. I have to say, number 1 in my top 3 characters, first of all, Rocket and Groot are actually I will include them as the same character. I can't necessarily split those two apart. And Rocket does steal the show at certain points. Lots of people have said that Rocket steals the show. I have to say every single character steals the show at one point in time. I have to say number 3 is Yondu, number 2 is Rocket and Groot, and number 3, oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna put these out of order. Just top 3 are just Yondu, Rocket and Groot, and Star-Lord. That's it. I can't really rank them. It's too hard. The bad guy was okay. He's definitely better than Malekith. Ivan Vanko from Iron Man 2. Definitely better than the Mandarin. But Marvel is known to not have great movie villains. And that's actually one thing that I actually like about DC Comics. In Man of Steel, my top 3 reasons why I love the film so much was 1, Krypton, 2, the actor who played Superman and how well he did it, and 3, Michael Shannon as Zod. Those were ultimately my top 3 reasons why I liked Man of Steel. But I still did not overly enjoy it as some people did. The first half of it was great, but then the second half was just bad. It was just Transformers everywhere. It's like Superman Transformers, just explosions everywhere. Metropolis even died. If it was a person, it died. So I will say Guardians of the Galaxy is a 9.25 out of 10, and I will say Captain America 2 is a 9 out of 10. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a 7.5 out of 10. X-Men Days of Future Past that I will certainly have as a review for is at least a 9.75. I will have X-Men Days of Future Past review out soon. But there you have it. 9.25 out of 10 for Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's some flaws, then I will get into spoilers. Now here are the flaws. The flaws were the bad guy. He was okay. I feel like Marvel still needs to... After Malekith, I thought Malekith was like Mr. Freeze. I probably think he's worse than that. I have to go see the movie again to think that. But he was not good, and I didn't even like Thor: The Dark World anyway. Howard the Duck is another reason why I did not like the film. I know, it's kind of stupid. Well, it's just an after-credit scene. It was worthless, though. You could have just said, like... You could have just had Howard the Duck in one of the collector's trophy cases, basically. And just have him stare at Groot instead of just have him talk. And the whole audience was just like, WTF to that. And then just leave the theater. But another thing is Nathan Fillion. If you guys did not catch right when... This is not technically a spoiler. You see this within the trailers and stuff. The Guardians basically get caught by the space cops, space police officers, and they go to a prison in space. And then they all go in there, they get, you know, washed up basically, and then they walk out into the lunchroom, basically, was where that was, and you barely hear, you can barely tell it's Nathan Fillion. Someone actually told me before, and I watched it, and I was just like, yeah, it's Nathan Fillion, I guess. He's voicing the blue alien in the prison that gets Groot's like fingers up his nose, and it just like strangles him basically for like 2 seconds. He just like says like, hey, you're not welcome here, we're gonna kick your butt or something because you're Gamora. And that's, I won't spoil anything right there, but you just can't really tell. If you've seen enough of his stuff, like if you've watched Firefly, you know it front to back, and Serenity, and Castle, and the Green Lantern stuff that he's done. What I best know him for is Green Lantern, like the animated movies and stuff like that. It seriously doesn't really sound like him. If you at first it sounded, when James Gunn was talking about Nathan Fillion's character, it sounded like he was going to be in the end credits, but he's not. Lots of people were hoping he was going to play Nova. I was hoping he was playing Nova too. But honestly, I think Nathan Fillion would be a great character to put, not a great character, a great actor to put in a Marvel film. Especially as a certain character who I will talk about later after I get done with the flaws for the second movie. And it might not be Nova. Another reason why I did not like the movie was there were a few lines in the movie from a couple of characters I didn't like. It was like one of those that if you came in late to the movie and if you saw that line, you'd be like, what am I watching? It's one of Rocket's lines, and he didn't deliver it as funny as the first time. Also, here's a great flaw. I mean, not great flaw, a pro about this movie. When I came out of the movie, one of the things that I was thinking about was that most Marvel movies have comedy relief, so that you get some humor out of certain scenes that may drag on to be boring, which can be a good thing. But this is what I think of what that movie was. I have to say that this movie was honestly a comedy with action relief, or at least sci-fi relief, because most of everything that goes on, you're going to be laughing. It's a crazy fun movie too. The action was spot on. When I saw an IMAX 3D today, I will say that the IMAX 3D experience for Guardians was so much better than Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. It was so much better. And I have to say that there was one scene in IMAX 3D that was just intense. I'll get that to the spoiler review, which I will do now. So, I said Guardians of the Galaxy was 9.25 out of 10, and if you have not seen the movie, and if you don't want to get the movie spoiled for yourself by me, then do not watch this next part, because this will be spoilers. Alright. This was Chosen One's channel, and please like, comment, subscribe if you're not at the moment still watching, because you do not want to have the movie spoiled for yourself. So, here we go for spoilers. Please pause if you do not want to listen again. You don't need to get it spoiled for yourself unless you want to. So, about Gamora, there were lots of background kind of story arcs going on in the movie, many subplot-like themes, material going through the movie all at once, kind of. And not every scene was action, and I like that. It was like Captain America 2 minus some action to bring in some space opera glory, comedy, or some more plot details, and I really liked that. When the alien black guy goes back, when he discovers that Quill escapes, Quill as in Star-Lord, he goes back to his master's spaceship called the Dark Aster or something like that, and then you see Nebula, the female villain, and Gamora, and then you see Ronan getting like makeup on, and Ronan is basically a space maniac terrorist overlord guy, and he has a deal going with Thanos to get the artifact that Quill stole on the planet the second planet that you see in the movie. Later on, Gamora betrays Thanos and Ronan, and she tries to get the gem. The artifact is an infinity gem, and they used to be called stones. Now I don't even know what they are going to be really called anymore, and she wants to donate it to the collector, who has an interest in this stuff, but no one really knows that except for him and his slaves. So Gamora tries to steal it from Quill, and in that scene they're on Xandar, which is basically the Earth of this movie. It's where most of the civilians live in the movie, and Rocket and Groot, you see them there, and they're just scouting for outlaws to take out to get a bounty accomplished and get some money. They all get in a fight, and it's Gamora who starts it, and then Groot and Rocket get involved. Groot gets his arm sliced off, and here's not really technically a spoiler, but Groot, if you give him water or time, I believe it's most of the time it's just give him like a certain amount of time, he will regrow. But I remember somewhere that if he has a certain liquid, which is kind of like water from the comics, from his home planet, and if you give it to him, he will regrow. It might be faster or something like that, but they get caught by the space cops, and then they go to the outer space prison. And then you meet Drax, who is now an inmate because he went on a rampage to kill Ronan, which involved, I believe, someone getting hurt, wounded, or dying, or scared just because he went on the loose. His wife and child died because of Ronan, but who also includes Thanos. And Gamora and Nebula, the two female antagonists at first, Gamora she betrays Thanos, her adoptive dad, and Ronan, her master, basically. Thanos you actually see for about 2 minutes or so, and I actually didn't like that. I will say now, since it is a spoiler, that is another reason why I did not like the film. I think they showed Thanos way too early. Way too early, honestly. I would have wished if, like, when Ronan got to the space area where the Avengers bombed, Iron Man bombed the place, they would have, like, shown, like, maybe the aliens from Avengers just, like, floating in space or something like that. And then you see the space rock area, and you see the other who has the mask and he talks weird. And you don't technically see Thanos, but you can see like his hand or something resting on the armchair of his throne. And another reason why I didn't like it was that the other died. I feel like he could have had more screen time, at least in this one or for a future Marvel film, mainly because he's basically the pawn of Thanos, and I feel like they could have built onto that more. Maybe he could have explained who Thanos is more, because Thanos doesn't really want to talk, he just wants to kill. Why? Because he is evil. That's basically what you get out of Thanos. He's like the biggest bad guy ever of the whole galaxy. He kills planets and only lets one person live out of that whole planet, and it has to be a child. And then he makes that child his adopted kid. And one of them is Gamora, and one of them is Nebula. And Nebula was a alright character. She was a lot better later on in the film. She actually, when I walked out of the theater, a couple of minutes later, I realized that she didn't die. So that's a spoiler. She lives on. She escaped, but I never really processed that, I guess, because either that she wasn't there most of the time. She was cool. She had robotic arms, so that whenever she got hurt, she was basically a robot species. But I remember from the comics, I remember that Nebula is actually a Kree, which kind of makes sense, but it was told that Thanos kills her planet, so that doesn't make sense. There's lots of references to Star Wars, certain characters, certain things that happen. There's even space dogfights, and there was another thing. There was here's a spoiler. Another one. Peter Quill's father is a mystery. It was told that his father is an extraterrestrial, basically, and that he has more of his human side than his alien side, but he still has a unique ability with him from his father. And if you want to know who his father is in the comics, from the comics, it is Jason of Spartoi. The reason why I could see them putting him in the next one is if they do not say a word about them being the cousin race to the Shi'ar, and the Shi'ar are related to Sony's, I mean not Sony's, 20th Century Fox's X-Men line and Fantastic Four. It goes into that, and they can't really talk about that. They can't even say mutant in the Avengers Age of Ultron, due to copyright claims. They can't say a word about mutant. And I believe they replaced it with Miracle. That's what the bad guy, the evil Hydra agent guy, said in Captain America 2. After credit scene. But I believe that is enough for the spoilers. Oh, actually two more things. What I want to see, well, a couple, I'll just say three, whatever. Something I want to add is that the collector's trophies, his whole place gets bombed from the Infinity Gem being released by one of his slaves who tried to kill herself over it, and all of his trophy cases are broken, and Adam Warlock's cocoon is in Thor the Dark World in his little sanctuary of the trophies, and every single trophy case is demolished. That means the Chitauri, the alien guys from the Avengers, there was one of those, there was a Dark Elf, there was Adam Warlock, there was Howard the Duck, and Cosmo. Those were the people that if you know from the comics, that they were there, or from previous movies. So I believe for the second movie, Cosmo will be in the Guardians of the Galaxy team, and so will Adam Warlock. I do want to see Adam Warlock for sure, at least in a similar type cameo appearances as Cosmo. But I do want to see Cosmo for sure as a character for the second movie. Howard the Duck, there was no apparent reason to have him as the after credit scene character. It's kind of worthless. I didn't like it at all. What was another thing? Something about Gamora or something like that. Oh, yeah, that was what it was. It was also a flaw, kind of a flaw of the movie. It's about the Infinity Gems. The Collector does a well job explaining what all of them were, but if you have seen from previous movies that have the Infinity Gems in them, there's one thing missing, and it's the Infinity Gauntlet. And I bet Guardians 2 will have the full explanation of the remaining gems that have been scattered throughout the world. They will finally be on the gauntlet, and Thanos will have it ready for him, and he's going to be killing lots of people in Avengers 3. Guardians is more based on, is more foreshadowing stuff for Avengers 3. It is more connected to Avengers 3 than Avengers 2. I believe that is pretty much enough for my whole review, non-spoiler to spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, 9.25 out of 10, and it is the second best comic book movie for 2014. It was great. If you have time to go see it, see it. Cannot wait for Guardians 2. James Gunn has already started on working on the script for the second movie. And I honestly can't wait until what he does for the second movie. This is the Chosen Ones channel. Please comment, like, subscribe, recommend videos or any reviews, any news that I need to know. And thank you, and please, yeah, again, subscribe, comment, like, see ya.